What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Modern Mortgage Show, where I interview mortgage professionals who share their stories and modern information about the industry. I'm your host, Rocco, and I'm excited to kick off the week with my guest today. His name is Mark Maiocca, and he's a senior mortgage originator at Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation out of Boston, Massachusetts. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Rocco. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. We had some technical difficulties getting on the show today. This is the best we can do. It's a spooky themed episode today. So we got Mark black and white.
It's good. It covers up all the blemishes.
So Mark, why don't we start off the show? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and give us a brief introduction of who you are?
Well, I'm a mortgage originator. Started in the business 1997. Been doing it for a long time. Have closed over $1 billion in mortgage loans, and as I told you, I have a unique process that I use to build my business based around creating networking groups called the Core 7 Referral System.
Yep, and we'll get into that. So you said you've been in the industry for about 23 years now?
Yeah, long time.
Did you do any type of work before you got into the industry?
I was a state auditor for the state of Massachusetts. And at that job, I didn't do much. I did the Herald crossword, the Globe crossword, and eventually the Wall Street Journal crossword.
Okay, interesting. So what made you get into the mortgage industry?
Totally by accident, which is how most people get into it. I actually wanted to be a stockbroker, believe it or not. I was already passing the Series 7 exams, and I went out to Arizona. I don't know why I went to Arizona to be a stockbroker. Most people would go to New York. But I went out there and very quickly realized I didn't want to be a stockbroker. And I had a cousin out there whose husband was a mortgage originator. And it was funny when he said, he asked me what I wanted to do. And I said, I want a job where if I'm good and I work really hard, the sky's the limit in income. And he said, you want to be a loan officer. And I had no idea what it was. I thought I was going to be like carrying a gun and have a badge, guarding the bank or something. But that's how I got into it. And then it's a great business, as you know.
Yeah, everyone has a strange story like that of how they got into the industry. So, we're in strange times right now in the world. So, and in the industry. So, what are you doing to get past this uncertain period of time that we are in?
Great question. I'm fortunate enough to be in the business for 21 years, so I have a lot of past clients. We've always done a good job with our database and staying in touch. So I'm just really just staying focused on reaching out to past customers, helping them, refinance to better their interest rate, take cash out for reserves so that they're safe during this process. I'm doing a lot of Zoom meetings with partners and a lot of Facebook Lives to get the message out there, but it is a different world. I honestly don't know what I would do. I'd probably just do a lot of Zoom one-on-one partner meetings if I was newer. But fortunately, I have a big database and I'm able to help some people free up some cash.
Awesome. And yeah, you have been in the industry for a long time now. So based on what you're seeing right now, what do you see happening in the future in the industry?
That's a good question too. Well, here's the thing, and Ben Bernanke said this on CNBC a couple weeks ago, and this is said that there's nothing that we can do. Nothing is going to improve. It doesn't matter what the Fed does if we don't get a hold of this virus. So that's the simple thing. So it feels a little bit like 2008. Just by what the Fed's doing, buying mortgage-backed securities and, dropping the federal funds rate. So we can get a lot of intel from that, that rates are going to be low for a long time. So I think there's going to be a lot of refinancing. Also, some of the things that happened in 2008, like the jumbo mortgage market dried up a little bit. The subprime market, which is now called, I don't do much of it, but it's, the alternate, kind of non-QM, which is
Hmm.
another word for subprime in my book. That's dried up. FHA is in trouble. They're saying home equity lines might be closed. So it's very similar to '08.
Hmm.
So basically, it's just stay with it, keep working, and keep going. But honestly, without this virus um, getting us tackling it, where it's really tough to say where it's going to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got into the industry because you wanted to be in control on how much you can make. You wanted to be in control. So now that you've gotten into the industry and you've been in it for a long time, what would you say is the most satisfying, rewarding, or fulfilling thing about your job as a loan officer?
I mean, it's definitely, helping someone purchase their home, but also help them purchase their home, but also integrate that home purchase and the real estate they buy into their overall financial plan, and helping them set up a team of professionals that works together, collaborating on their behalf. So
Mhm.
it's that the job doesn't just end when the loan closes. It actually is an ongoing thing where they're constantly adjusting, and where our team is helping out, as they for all their financial needs moving forward.
Okay. And you mentioned your second company, the Core 7 Group. Um, it's it's how you built your business, you said. So can you just tell us a little bit more about that, the Core 7 Referral Group, and what it is?
Absolutely. So Core 7 exclusive networking group is basically it's a networking group for just the 7 professionals, which are the realtor, the mortgage originator, the real estate attorney or escrow officer, depending what state you're in, financial advisor, estate planning attorney, property and casualty insurance agent, and the accountant, all working together systematically to generate leads and to benefit the client.
Hmm.
So basically, we just have a process that each person goes through. There's a way, there's a methodology that everybody goes to, and it not only generates referrals to the right people at the right time, but it also benefits the client as they have a full financial plan. One of the things I should say that what drove me to this, and I'll be quick on this one, was a personal story with my family. Is back in 1986, my dad passed away unexpectedly of cancer. And it was very quick. It was 6 weeks, and he had no life insurance. And to make a long story short, it really kind of sent my mother and our family into a financial tailspin, and they were doing very well. But the ironic thing is that they sold insurance for a living.
Hmm.
My mother and father were in the insurance business, and they didn't have the right insurance. So it kind of drove me all these years to see it as my responsibility to make sure that these every client I work with has full coverage, because if you have one little thing missing, it can crush everything.
Hmm.
And I
So
wrote. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I was just going to say I wrote a book on that. It's you can get it on Amazon. It's called "What's Your Rate? How to Buy a Home and Secure Your Financial Future at the Same Time." It's they just put my name in. It's pretty easy to find. It's a good
Yeah,
book. Walks through the whole process.
I'll link that after the show on the post. So you created this group, and so how is that really, you said you grew your mortgage business on it. So can you like go more in depth on that and explain it to us?
Absolutely. So I've started a couple groups myself. And it's just that it's really the methodology of it,
Hmm.
where each person does certain things in the process. And just to give you some highlights, I mean, it's been accountable that just that one my best networking group has been responsible for over $100,000 every single year just from that group. I mean, the realtor in the group averages anywhere from 12 to 20 million in referrals that close. The financial advisor, depending on the year, is anywhere from 5 to 10 million in closings. And some of the stuff that is really unique is the realtor in the group received 15 referrals that closed from one financial advisor. So there's a methodology to not only, give referrals to realtors to mortgage people like it works, but also there's ways that the group gives back to the realtors. I mean, there was one year. Yeah, there was one year that I gave 70 in an 18-month period to one financial advisor.
Wow.
I mean, it's just methodical. It happens every time, and it's not pushy either. It's actually pretty systematic.
So you guys are like teaming up in a sense. And is there like per group, is there one originator, one realtor, one accountant, or how does that work?
Yes, it's only the 7. I mean, the way the business works is it's based on exclusive territory. So there's one group owner in a territory, which many times is like a manager at a mortgage company. So he'll set up multiple groups with different like leaders, but it'll all be in the same territory, and it's based on population, based on 100,000.
Okay. And once that territory is filled, then nobody else is allowed in?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of how we run our company. Once we have a partner in a certain territory, we don't bring on anyone else because it's exclusive. But okay, so and if you want to make a group, so the only way to join is to make your own group, or can you join a group?
You can join a group. The group owner is in charge. So obviously, if you want to join a group, the group owner obviously has to approve you. For the group. One of the things that we do that's unique on our site, mycore7.com, there's a tab called Find a Group. And it's for people who maybe don't want to start their own group, but if there was a group in the area in their zip code, they'd like to join it. Part of the reason the exclusive territories are valuable is the group owner of that territory is going to get all the introductions for all the 6 professionals that want to that inquire about the group. So if you were looking for a group in one territory and there was already someone there, the introduction to that group owner would happen, and you guys could talk. And I mean, there's a ton in the system, but that's kind of the big hook is it's really easy to meet a lot of business partners.
Got it. Sounds like you have a great system. So if someone wants to join a group or start their own, where should they go?
They go to mycore7.com.
Okay.
Click.
And I'll also link to that on the post after the show as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
So shifting gears here, when you first got started in the industry, you wanted to be a stockbroker, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, you were in Arizona, and then when you first got started in the mortgage industry, what were some struggles or obstacles you faced early on?
Every single one that there is, I hit it. I took every arrow in the back, hit every speed bump. It's funny, in Arizona back then, they think everyone from the Northeast is from New York. They used to call me and I'm from Boston, so New York, the Red Sox and Yankees rivalry, they were the enemy, but everybody would call me like New York Mark, and I was like, what? So they just like put me in a room and said, you got to learn all the documents, go make copies. So, when I finally got out there, I was just basically going into open houses and asking realtors if I could meet with them to talk business. And the one really good thing that I did with no knowledge that helped me so much is I would put together these weekend survival kits. I put a bottled water, a Coca-Cola, some pretzels, a power bar, some gum, and my cards, and I would go to the open house and I'd say, here's a open house survival kit from Mark Maiocca. I'd love to give you a call on Monday, see if we can grab some coffee. And that, they saw me as I was a young guy, and they saw me hustling, and I got some business out of that. That's how I got started.
Yeah, that's good. And so you kind of just jumped right in, and how'd you fix your problems? You just basically from experience and just learning as you go?
Yeah, I think the biggest benefit that I had was I had no idea what was going on. I think if I knew what I knew now, I probably wouldn't have done what I probably would have been nervous, but I just went out there, didn't just said some of the things that came to my head, and I look back and a lot of them are really stupid. They must have been laughing at me inside, but the bottom line is they saw a young guy hustling, trying to do good, doing the best he could. Everybody has to get started somewhere, and it paid off.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Sometimes it's good to be naive, and when you do know too much, then it will prevent you from doing it. Just the fear
Yeah.
set in. I definitely know that feeling. So, moving on, then, if you were to speak with yourself, like you just said, when you first were starting out, if you were able to speak to your younger self or any loan officer starting out, in that case, what advice or what tips would you give to them?
That's a great question. I mean, it's obviously I'm a little biased to the Core 7. That would be the first thing I would set up, whether it was through our company or just
Hmm.
on your own. Set up a group
Yeah.
of those professionals so that you have someone to refer them to, like on a mortgage. If something financial comes up, don't try to answer the question. You're an expert in mortgages. Say, I don't know the answer to that, but that's actually a financial advisor question. How's your relationship with your financial advisor that's specialized in that? So that would be the first thing I do, is kind of set up my team so that there would be obviously a referral exchange, but also so you have the resources for your clients. And the second thing I would do, if I could do it all over again, because my bills were really low, back then. So if I closed 1 or 2 loans a month, that would pay the bills. So I could
Hmm.
take a more methodical approach than someone who's older and has a family and needs to make more. I would have put together
Mm.
like a dream 100 list of people I
I
wanted
was
to
just
meet,
thinking.
and I would set up a process to reach out to them to kind of build it the right way. I would do some type of campaign where I sent like a book or like a 5-step clunky mail kind of introduction to be able to get a meeting, and I would just start meeting with people and you know try to do that. And then after that, I'd just start working on the processes. So when I did get the referral, I'd be able to really do a good job on it so that it would grow by
Mhm.
word of mouth.
Yeah, and I was just thinking that Dream 100 strategy, when you were talking, and that's kind of what your networking group is in a sense, because you're providing value to other professionals who serve the same client base as you.
Right.
So that's how that works, or that's how and why that strategy works so well. And you sounds like you nailed it. Um, so in recent years, since you got into the industry, and even in recent years, technology has impacted the industry immensely. Um, how would you say this has affected you and your business?
Well, I'm not great with technology, as you know, trying to get on this video cast, but it's I built a team that kind of handles that.
Okay.
It's made it a lot more efficient. It's made it easier. Um, the technology that I do use is essential. Like I use Mortgage Coach,
Hmm.
the presentation software, and
Hmm.
that's great. I mean, that's kind of the software that I've managed, that I've mastered. But when it comes to like the input, through Encompass and all of that stuff, it's a little overwhelming for me.
Hmm.
I just said this to my coach today. I said I wish there was just a backup plan where if you were having trouble with the technology, you could do an old school handwritten application with just full doc and
Yeah.
get it in. But it's great to be able to do a lot of volume, but it's a little bit tougher on people who don't love technology like myself.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you have to adapt to it and involve
Yeah.
with it, or else you'll get left behind. So, do you you still originate loans, right?
Yep.
Does your team take care of all that?
I still originate loans. I still do all the loan consultations.
Hmm.
So the things I do typically are um, meeting with my business partners, and finding new business partners and doing lead generation type stuff like the videos and the public speaking, doing seminars. I still do that.
Hmm.
Um, and I do the consultation. So my team will gather everything, and then I'll review it, and then I'll do the call with the client that basically, what's most important about this home loan to you, and we'll start to talk about that. I'll do that, and I'll do the mortgage reviews,
Okay.
just touching base. But other than that, processing, doc gathering, um, reaching out and getting the application, that's all done by my team.
Okay. So, last few questions here. Then let's go to the buyer side now, and let's talk about that a little bit. So, who do you guys primarily serve, or is it just general?
Pretty much anyone that's a good person. I judge it not by product, as someone who is, wants, and it's, I always say this is big, huge difference between a rate shopper and somebody who's doing their due diligence to make sure they understand the process and get a
Mhm.
competitive rate. One is the way you should do it. Creating a bidding war is not something that we look, that's not something we look for. So it doesn't matter if you're a $100,000 loan or a $3 million loan. We treat you the same way if you're a good person who is looking to build a relationship with a professional. So
Mhm.
um, my market is mostly jumbos, which is a little bit difficult nowadays, just because I've had to send a lot of clients off to smaller banks that are, over the I had to give away $4 million in loans last month because we couldn't close them because we weren't able to do jumbos at the time.
Yeah.
So, so I got them done. And that's why I tell my referral partners, I say, you still send it to me. I'm going to get it done for you no matter what, even if we have to ship it out to somebody who's gonna handle it. But yeah, we'll handle anyone that's a good person. Anything from the first time home buyer to a reverse mortgage, as long as they're good people that want to work with a professional who's looking out for their best interest.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we were to talk about the buyers, what do you see as a big misconception that they have going into the process, in regards or before working with you in regards to getting a loan?
Number one, that it's a commodity. It's all about rate. Everybody can do the same thing.
Hmm.
All loan officers are created equal, and that's just not the case.
Yeah.
That's number
Okay.
one.
What about uninformed buyers who think, or they have myths that they think you need the best credit or a huge down payment? Do you guys typically see those?
Yeah, there's a lot of that where I guess what I would say to that is I kind of put that back on the referral source is, a lot of people have head trash, like you just said, about what they can do. Well, I don't have 20% down, or
Mm.
I had some credit problems in the past. I don't think I can get a loan. When what they should do is say, you know what, sit down with a mortgage originator, do a do a pre-approval consultation. It's not going to cost you anything. It's not going to hurt you at all. Take the time to learn where you are, because even for some people don't think they can buy, and they absolutely can. But
Hmm.
there's also some people who are just putting it off, and they might have a problem on their credit or something that's not even theirs. It's nice to identify and find out where you are. So that's a lot of people have head trash that they can't do things when they actually can.
Hmm. Okay, and that really comes down to, like you said, finding the right mortgage advisor who has you in their best interest, walks you through the process, and just advises you. And like I said, has you in their best interest, um, because it isn't a one size fits all solution. Everyone has their own needs and their own, specific
Right.
needs. So, last question here: if we're talking about first time home buyers, what is the number one most asked question that you receive from them right off the bat?
Right off the bat is, what are the next steps?
Okay.
Um, they don't understand the process. They're very nervous. And so one of the best things that we do, I actually have one of my team members do it, is the initial consultation is with me. And that's when, one of the things I should have said earlier is you should be gathering all the documents up front before you give any advice to a consumer. That way you know exactly what you're dealing with. But what we did, especially for the first time home buyer, is my team member, Bill, who's awesome, will have kind of an upfront conversation about the process. Here are the steps. We're going to gather some documentation. Then you're going to talk to Mark about all of your options. Then we're going to issue a pre-approval, and just kind of the timeline and the process. Once they get that, then they start to, if we explain it correctly, they start to get some confidence that you're just going to guide them and they're going to be okay. But they kind of want to get an overview of the process just to feel comfortable. They feel like they're going in blind.
Yeah, like I said, educating them on the process and throughout it, because these are first-time buyers. It's the biggest investment some people will ever make, so it's scary for them. And if you give them the overview on the process, then they get a little confident, and they'll know that they're doing the right thing, and they'll feel more comfortable.
Right.
So, Mark, I really want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. I had an amazing time speaking with you. I really appreciate your time, and I appreciate your patience in getting the links and stuff like that to work to come on the show.
Well, that was great. I had a great time, Rocco. Anytime.
And thank you to all the viewers for tuning in, and we'll see you again next episode.